Hello, welcome, namaste, Jai Sri Krishna, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out to attend this mental health seminar. It's the first of what we hope to be a series. So just thank you for taking the time out, first of all. What I would like to say is that this mental health seminar has stemmed from a youth forum that has been newly formed. It's a group of youth who have come together, and we're trying to create events for the youth, but it's free for anyone to attend. And from the pandemic, we've kind of moved online. So this is sort of the way forward for the time being, but we hope it can help people and reach out to people as well. What I will say is that just some notices that this session is recorded, so it's completely up to you if it's cameras on or cameras off. The previous session the previous event that we've had with the Youth Forum was a careers event that Rakesh and Sonal hosted. That's also on the SPA website for those of you who didn't catch it. It was a careers event with 3 different people from different backgrounds talking about their careers. So hopefully at the end of this event, it will also go on the SPA website as well. So the aim of this event was to talk about mental health within the South Asian community. It is known to be a stigma, but we have our very own Prajapati, Chetnaben Mistry, who is a mental health nurse with an extensive background, extensive experience, who is hoping to break those barriers and use this kind of platform through her own company as well. So there will be a Q&A session at the end, but if you think of a question and you want to jot it down, please put it in the chat. One thing I will say is you will need a smartphone handy because this is an interactive session, and the speaker will talk to you about what to do, but I hope you enjoy. Over to you, Chetna.
Hello everybody, and thank you very much for having me. And it's lovely to come back, and I did a series of events for the general population, but it's lovely to be invited back for the youth. So I'm going to share my presentation. I'm just going to share screen. Be able to see that? Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Lovely. So my name is Chetnaben Mistry. I am a mental health nurse, and I have been a mental health nurse for 24 years. And I have a variety of experience of working in different areas within mental health, inpatient, which means hospital, those that are hospitalised with mental health conditions, along with working in the community with adults. I currently work with children with mental health difficulties. I'm also a systemic family practitioner. My practice is informed by loads of different modalities within the therapeutic setting. So I use skills from CBT, which means cognitive behaviour therapy, dialectical behaviour therapy. I use coaching techniques and compassion-focused therapy techniques as well. That's just to name a few of the things that I do use in my practice. So just a bit of housekeeping from my side, and that is that when we're in this forum, I always like to say we should all respect each other, because we will be talking about things that are quite sensitive. It might be something that is sensitive and personal to some of the people that are here today. So please look after yourself. It's your responsibility to look after your own mental health and your behaviour. Get help from your GP if that's what you need, or go talk to somebody. Do what works for you to look after yourself. We have non-judgmental attitude while we're in these forums as well. So, if somebody is saying something, please don't judge by saying, or talking outside of this forum. So and-so said this, or so-and-so said that about how they're feeling or their experiences. This is about being open and, reducing stigma, not judging people. We're here to help. And if people are talking about difficult experiences, or if somebody does want to ask a question, let's make it confidential and not talk about it outside of the session. So one of the aims of why I set up my company, I am a qualified mental health nurse and I've been working in the NHS for about 24 years. I set up my company a couple of years ago because I'm really passionate about promoting mental health and reducing stigma around mental health. So I hope with my company to help individuals achieve a clarity of mind, help reduce stigma around mental health, and educate people around what mental health is and what you can do to help yourself and help others around you. Because I personally feel there's a lot about mental health, but sometimes as a qualified professional feel it's a term that is rather, thrown around or spoken about, but nobody actually really understands what mental health is and what they can do to help themselves. So I want to try and sort of clarify. Some people might do, some people might not, but just get a bit of understanding about that. Offer coaching and support to improve your mental well-being, and also give tips and suggestions for individuals to look after themselves. So by the end of this session, I'd like to think you've got a few tips and some suggestions on what you can do to look after your own mental health. So what I'd like you to do today, I'm going to be having a go at using Slido, which is an interactive tool. So if you can all scan in the QR code and use the code that is on the screen to sign on. Krishna, is there anything else I need to add to that? I'm a tech expert.
No, so just again to reiterate, just get your smartphone, go on your camera, and just hold it up to the QR code and you should get a link on your screen. Just click that yellow box if you've got an iPhone or if you've got Samsung. But yeah, just need your camera open.
It up for a minute or so.
Yeah.
There's already a chance to. Turn it over unless anybody says otherwise.
If you can't use your camera, you can go to slido.com and type in the number 3274408 as well.
So what I'd like you to all think about, you should be able to have accessed the right place on Slido by now. I'd like you to think about how much you actually know about mental health. What is your understanding and knowledge at this moment? If you can scale it on, between 1 to 10. We've got quite a mixture. Got some awareness. Thanks for that. So I've got some people that do know quite a bit about it, some not so much. Oh, that's great to hear. It's great to see, really. So what I want you all to do is make a note of 3 things that you like doing. It could be making it on your phone, on a piece of paper, whatever works for you. And I've put a few examples down here of going for a walk, spending time with your friends and family, dancing, doing a bit of cooking, playing football, watching sports, either live on TV, so anything that you enjoy doing. And it could be that you like learning new languages or learning new skills, watching something on TV or craft game, trying something crafty. I mean, I like to crochet and knit, and that's always a good one for me. Sewing, so it could be anything you enjoy doing. What we're looking at today. So I want to think about the stigma associated with mental health. And, you know, often we get an idea in somebody's got mental health and we have a picture of what they look like or what they might behave like. So, and that can get in the way of us accessing help. So also look at how Asians perceive mental health, some of the myths and ideas around that, and think about what do we mean by mental health. You know, we know the term mental health, but what does that actually mean, and how can we translate that to our experiences and ourselves? What you can do to look after your mental health. Think about where you can get help, along with some takeaway tips, you know, from today's session. So this is where I think you can use the chat box function. And does anybody recognize any of these people? Are these familiar, or? Give you a few minutes, see if you get anything. So you might be thinking, well, why has she got pictures of these people, these celebrities on the screen? Well, believe it or not, everyone has at some point experienced some mental health difficulties. So it doesn't matter that you struggle with your mental health, you can still go on and live fulfilling lives. And I think that's one of the, you know, people think, oh, I've got a mental health problem, that's it, my life is doomed. No, it's not. You know, unfortunate, you know, there are some unfortunate cases where people have ended their life, like Sushant Singh Rajput, but he, you know, he did have bipolar and anxiety and depression, but unfortunately, he ended his life. You know, we've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you know, he is this really strong male figure that people think should just be able to get on with life. But he's, you know, in his younger days, suffered depression. You know, Zayn Malik with his eating disorders and anxiety difficulties. Even Amitabh Bachchan, we all know Amitabh Bachchan, and through generations, whether, you know, my parents' age, to my age, to my children's age, everybody knows who this guy's in. He struggled with depression, and when things were difficult for him. Same with Deepika Padukone, she's experienced anxiety, OCD, along with Lily Singh, who's had depression. So these are all successful people that have gone on and done well in life. It's not easy. We're not saying it's easy, but it, you know, it doesn't discriminate. There's no, it doesn't say, oh well, you know, you're Asian, I won't come, you know, you're not going to get depressed, or you're white, or you're Chinese, or any, it doesn't age, gender, ethnicity, it does not discriminate, doesn't mental health difficulties. So let's think of some of the things that we in the Asian Indian community, how we perceive mental health. We have heard, you know, these have come from what I've heard in the community and how I've heard people talk about mental health. Some say that, oh, someone has cast a spell, you know, they're sorts of terminology that we might have heard people talk about if somebody in the family or somebody they know have suffered with mental health problems. So, you know, when somebody's got, they think they've got black magic or the evil eye, you know, we may take them, or family members may take them to faith healers and perform rituals saying that will take the evil spirit out of you. Some people believe that actually it's because of you did bad in your past life, so this is karma, this is coming back to you, so you almost deserve it because it's part of life and you have to get on with it, and that's what you dealt with. We may experience it in terms of physical ailments and aches and pains, you know, my shoulder hurts, my head hurts, and express how you're feeling in physical sensations. We may look towards what I always think people have for the magic pill to make everything all right. They look for a cure, that if I take a pill, or if I do this, everything will be okay. and, you know, no, I've got our sort of thing. So, you know, they're the sorts of things you might have heard people talk about in our community. People believe that people with these conditions are violent and aggressive. Not always, sometimes, but even people that haven't got mental health difficulties are violent and aggression, you know, display violence and aggression. So that's a myth as well. And weakness of the mind, you know, people say, well, they're really weak, or their mind isn't strong enough. Again, this isn't true. And in the Indian Asian community, we don't always have the language to express what mental health is. So people of our parents' generation, or even maybe my generation, or people from back in India, they may not quite have the vocabulary to explain or understand what they are experiencing, because, you know, I think we're in the last 5 years or so, we're talking more and more about mental health, and I never know much about it growing up as a child. So I think we still have to develop that language. So what do we actually mean by mental health? We're talking about how we feel, what emotions we feel, and it's how our brains make us think, feel, and behave. So if you think back to when you have felt sad, you may recall some of the thoughts that you had when you were sad. That might mean that you don't go out, or you don't go and see anybody, or pick up the phone and talk to your friends. So when you're feeling sad, did you feel time that you're really helpless, and, you know, you try and do something so you don't feel sad, and feel there's no point in doing anything, so you don't go out, you don't socialize? At the times when you felt really happy, for example, you've got that job that you really wanted and you just want to go out and celebrate with your friends, you know, you feel you can conquer the world because you've just applied for that job and you've got it. There might be times when you felt angry, you know, somebody has said something to upset you, or done something to upset you, so you may say, well, I'm going to show them, have a thought like that, and maybe go and try and maybe attack them, or have a few strong words with them. Or there might be, you know, another thing, another emotion is disgust. You know, you might look at something and think, that is, I'm not going anywhere near that. You know, I always use this example of my husband and Binda. He does not like Bindamshak at all, and he will not go anywhere near it. And that is, you know, disgust is a way of your body protecting you from dangerous things and things that have gone off. But we can often have false alarms in this day and age, like my husband and his Binda. So, you know, another example, we're talking about example of emotion is fear. You know, when we are scared of something, you may be going out for a walk and think, oh, somebody's following me. So you might start speeding up or even start running. So that'll trigger you to do something. So you thought, you know, you're feeling scared. Your thought is, oh, that person's following me. Right, I better speed up. I better run before they come and attack me. So that's the connection between your thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. So I've got a few more examples that I thought I might share, because it doesn't go in any particular way. It's not like you get a thought, you get a feeling, you get behavior. No, it can go in any way. So you can have your thoughts, behavior, feelings, or you can get a feeling which might trigger a thought, which might trigger a behavior. So, you know, if you think of a scenario where you have an exam, you can think about it and the other thing is, if the way you think about things could affect and can affect how you feel about things and how you behave. So understanding that thought, the connection and the interplay between thoughts, behavior, and feelings is really important. So you've got the scenario of you have an exam coming up, and you think, right, okay, I need to revise, and I can revise, and then you might feel motivated. And then you will actually go and revise. And so you'll have your timetable, you'll sit down and you'll prepare for that exam. But you might always have a thought and say, well, I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at exams. I don't get this subject. I find it really difficult. And you might feel scared and stressed. And as a consequence, you might avoid revising because the thought of revising makes you feel anxious because it reminds you you've got a test. So you've got the same scenario, but if you think about it in different ways, you can have different feelings and behaviours as a consequence. So, another example might be that you've just left home, you've gone to uni, and you want to go out with your friends, but you know that before you've gone, your parents have said, you can't go out, don't want you going out drinking or going to pubs, you're there to study. And your friends invite you out and you think, in your head you're thinking, I really want to go, but my parents don't allow it. So then you feel a bit scared, you feel anxious, and you're confused. My friends are going out, I can't. But then you don't go out. And you miss out on the socializing, but inside you're probably very angry as well. So you've got lots of mixture of emotions going on there. But you've also got the scenario of you do go out, you then still feel quite anxious and confused, but you're a bit wary when you go out. So you won't enjoy yourself as much, but there's a lot so you can see here the connection between the thoughts, feelings and behaviour. And another one is, I'll have one more example, and hopefully you've got, I've sort of shared what I wanted to share. It's a similar situation as if you want to go for a job. You don't apply for a job or a promotion because you don't think you're good enough, because you think I'm not going to get it, and you feel sad and you feel low and unmotivated, then you don't apply for it, and then you sort of get into that trap of feeling I'm not good enough, I can't apply for this, and then you don't get a job, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or you could say to yourself that actually, what's the worst that's going to happen? I won't get the job, but I'll get experience. That will drive you and motivate you to read up on what you need to read up about the company, think about, what didn't go so well in my last job interview, and then and maybe I can learn from that on my last application, and then you'd put an application in, or if you're invited for an interview, you'd go. So that then it increases your chances of doing well and making you feel better. So that's just a few examples of that interaction between the thought, feelings and behaviour. Our emotions are regulated. What we do depends on three parts of muscles of our brain, really, that are triggered. You've got your drive system, which motivates us to do things. And so that is, if you, like we were saying, you've got an exam, it tells you that I need to revise, or you have a deadline, so it motivates you to work hard to get that project on time that your boss is asking for. But that is then can be driven by threat. If I don't do it, then my boss will fire me, or he won't give me another job, or I'll lose my prospect of promotion. And then once you've done it, you then feel soothed and feel calm. So in order to balance our mental health, we need to stimulate all three parts of our emotional regulation system. So we need a bit of threat, because if we didn't have threat, we wouldn't do anything that's exciting, and we wouldn't do anything that is, a bit daredevil. You wouldn't go rock climbing, and what rock climbing or try anything different. You wouldn't go for the job. You wouldn't do that interview. And we need that drive system to help us, to motivate us to do things. If we didn't have that, you wouldn't prepare for your project, you won't prepare for that plan to go away on holiday. And same with the soothing, we need that just to sort of balance the threat and the drive out. But if you have too much of the soothing system, you end up doing nothing, and we're just too chilled out and too relaxed. A lot of the time we spend our time a lot between the drive and the threat system, because it's like, I need to go to work, I need to perform, which stimulates your drive system, and then I've got to come home, and then I've got to cook. If I don't cook, family won't get fed. So you're constantly between the drive and threat system, which too much of that can burn you out. So what we want is you to maybe think about and look into some something that's going to be soothing, some self-care. You know, can I go home and have a cup of tea for 10 minutes? Or what is it that's going to help me just keep that balance in check? So what I'd like you to think about now is what affects how you feel. Yeah, got my work, yeah. Again, that can be a positive or a negative, can't it? It could be, well, I really enjoy going to work and it motivates you, or it could be actually the demands of work is just so much that it's too, yeah, it's too difficult for you. Or life in general. That's good to be a bit more specific around that. What do you mean by life in general? There's all different aspects of life. Yeah, family stresses, yeah, the weather. Yeah, we do, you know, I think we always do feel, some people feel better in the summer months than we do in the winter. Yeah, family stresses, you know, expectations people have on us, for us, what you eat. Yeah. And also, yeah, footy, yeah, that can be is that positive or negative, the footy? I think that's, it can be really great pleasure, but if your team loses, that can be quite stressful for some people. Yeah, so we've got some really good examples of, you know, what you eat affects how you feel. Yeah, so you've had a good nutritional, you know, good diet that always makes you feel a bit better and you feel a bit more energized, and a good, yeah, sleep as well. So these are some really great ideas. Yeah, health, that's another good one as well. When we're feeling well physically, in terms of, you know, you're physically well, you can go out, you can do things, you feel great. But we know that when COVID, you know, it brings you down when you're not. So, yeah, technology, exams there as well, exam pressure, yeah. But yeah, so you've got some good things out there. So some of the contributing factors towards how we feel can be your personality. You could be a stressed person. It could be that you know, over the years you've grown up and, you know, you're more prone to becoming stressed, and that can affect how you deal with emotions, your learned behavior, how you've grown up in your home environment. If you've been exposed to a lot of stress, has there been, you know, people always been on the edge, or has there been lots of shouting at home? So what have your, you know, what's the learned behavior? How have family and friends around you as you were growing, how have they dealt with stress? That can affect anxiety and how you cope with things as well. Stressful life events. Somebody was saying family stress. Yeah, if there's, you know, difficult relationships, things like bullying, bereavement, divorce, job loss, these are all things that can affect our mental health, along with, you know, some of our physical health as well. And I think somebody was saying their health. Yeah, spot on. You know, health and learning difficulties can also affect stress levels. Work, home, social and educational pressures. Somebody spoke about, you know, mentioned, sorry, work and educational pressures as well, you know, and exams and things like that. So why is it important that we look after our mental health? We need it for good physical health. Stress is a response to be used in short bursts to help you get out of danger. And over the years, our bodies have learned to see a lot of things as stress. So we then feel physical symptoms like headaches, your heart rate beats fast, you get a funny feeling in your stomach, and you get the clammy hands. But that is okay in the short run if you think you're going to be attacked by an animal and you need to run. But when it becomes longer term, it becomes problematic, and you can then end up with health, heart conditions, diabetes, so headaches, aches and pains, chronic as a result of that. It can affect your self-esteem and confidence, and like we were saying before when I was talking about that connection between thought, feelings and behavior, can affect whether you progress or whether you can challenge yourself a little bit more. That's the word I'm after. Can you challenge yourself? That pushing yourself that little bit, gets in the way of that, because if you feel you can't do it, you won't, and then it gets in the way of your personal growth and your ability to achieve your full potential. It can affect your relationship with other people. You might get into arguments, or people might not talk to each other because of things that I've said and the way it's made them feel. You get in the way of work and education. You might not be able to study as well as you'd like, or you might not be able to function at work as well as you would want to, or as much as you're capable of, because you're feeling anxious and you think, oh, I can't do that, so you hold back a bit. So you're almost doing things from a back foot rather than taking that step forward. And it can affect your day-to-day functioning and day-to-day life. Somebody mentioned nutrition, so it can affect your appetite, it can affect your sleep levels, and what you do, and your motivation as well, whether you get up or not get up in the morning. So what are some of the unhealthy coping strategies we might adopt to look after ourselves or to manage our mental health and stress and distress that we're experiencing? You might just avoid the situations. Like we said about, when I'm talking to some students, I often find that, oh, that lecture's just too difficult. I missed that last one, so I won't go to the next lecture. Or so then you get further and further behind, but because you're getting further and further behind, it might feel good in the short term, but in the long term, your anxiety increases. So you avoid the situation. You might go and watch Netflix instead of revising or doing that project that you need to do. Smoking and drinking alcohol or taking illicit drugs, that might be another way of escaping from how you're feeling at that time. Gambling may use self-injurious behavior, self-harm or putting yourself in danger. You might change your appetite. You might eat too much or too little. You might engage in promiscuous behavior and use impulsive spending. All these are coping strategies that people use when they are distressed, because it does it triggers that soothing system in the immediate term. And yes, it might help in that moment, but it becomes problematic in the longer term. So these are, if you find yourself, I think a typical example is people often come home from work after a long day's work and says, oh, I'll just have a pint of beer or a glass of wine to just chill out. And then that becomes every day, or then that might become a couple of pints a night, and then before you know it, it becomes difficult. So what can you do to look after your mental health? You can, if you're not feeling great, and you are feeling stressed or anxious, it's best to avoid alcohol, drugs and excessive caffeine. So, if you've got exams going on, or, you've got under a lot of pressure at work, try and avoid that, because it just, alcohol makes you feel more depressed. It's a depressant, and caffeine can increase your symptoms of anxiety as well. So, if you're having 3-4 cups of coffee, try and cut that down a bit. Try and be mindful of what you're doing. And when you use the word mindful, people often think, I've got to sit and meditate for half an hour, 45 minutes. And that's not always the case. We can have mindful moments, sit and enjoy a cup of tea, really immerse yourself in that drink. What does it feel like? How hot is it? What does it taste like? What's happening with my body as I drink it? So just having, even if you can't manage 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or just connecting with yourself, that can be really helpful to sort of almost reset yourself for a while. Relaxation, you can do some relaxation techniques, breathing, exercising, the muscle tensing and relaxing your muscles. You know, or each part of your body, you know, if you do like if scrunch up your face, then next your hands, your different legs and your arms, it can be really helpful to engage in relaxation exercises if it's helpful. Even yoga, you know, people find yoga helpful, or if you're religious, some people find praying, doing Buddha, Abdi, whatever works for you. Do that to help you just calm down and reset. Talk to somebody, talk to a friend. They can give you a different perspective. It's always helpful to talk to somebody that you know is going to be objective and they haven't got their own agenda. That's going to make you feel worse. So I think it's just that comes with a bit of a caveat. Engage in activities that interest you. Do things that you like doing. Is it going for a run? Is it going for a swim? Is it going for a 5-minute bike? You know, is it going for a bike ride? I think it could go in 5 minutes, but whatever fits into your daily routine, and that is helpful. Try and see things from a different perspective. Try and stop, take a step back and see, okay, what am I responding to? Is this my emotions, or can I just, okay, let me try and see it from the other person's perspective. What would my mom say? What would my best friend say? Or, you know, try and see things, different viewpoints gives you, you know, different ideas and gives you different ways of thinking about things. That's moving and exercise is really important. Having a healthy diet, you know, water, fresh fruit and vegetables are all really good to keep your brain clear and not fog it up as much. So yeah, it's really important to get, you know, make sure you're drinking enough water and having a balanced, healthy diet. Because I know myself, when I've had a day of eating lots of chocolate and that, I know that you feel quite sluggish and very tired. But when you've had, you know, your fruit and vegetables and a bit of a better eating day, you feel better. Try and avoid social media. I mean, I always think people put the good side of things on social media, and we can get into that trap of comparing ourselves to other people and thinking, oh, look at them, aren't they having a really good time abroad or in Spain, but I'm stuck here in Derby or in Bradford, or, you know, so it's always good to try and have a break. Socialize with your friends and family, those that have a positive effect. You know, I think it's important to socialize, get yourself out, so you know, you're not sat in your own world. And I think it's been really difficult with the whole pandemic, and now we're starting to open up again. Hopefully that should change things a bit. And do something for yourself, do something that you like doing because it makes you happy, not because somebody's told you to, but put yourself first. And you know, this is something, whether you're young or old or whoever, we are not, you know, I don't think we are brought up to look after ourselves. We always think about other people. And it's not selfish to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't do all the things you want to do in life, and you can't help the people that want you to help them. So this is something I feel really passionate about, you know, and it might be that you need half a day where you go to the gym and go to the spa for a bit. If that's what you need, that's what you need. It might be that you need to go get your nails done. It could be that, you know, somebody needs to go for a run or go and watch a football match with their friends, or whatever that is that you do, but do it for yourself, not because somebody else is expecting you to do it. And getting enough sleep, having a good sleeping and waking routine, good bedtime routine is really key to looking after your mental health, because it gets your body ready to, you know, so it's your body clock, isn't it? And we want it to program it so that it knows that you need to rest and let your body rejuvenate and refresh itself and recharge itself for the next day. So we want to go to bed around the same time. So say you go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7, but you do that 7 days a week. So something I'd like you to think about is when things get difficult, this technique is I find really helpful. You stop. It's called the stop. There's the app as well, and you can get more information on the Get Self-Help website. So when you're getting anxious or you're getting into an argument or something, stop. Literally stop in your tracks and think. Take a deep breath and focus on your breathing and observe what is happening around you. What's my body feeling? What's happening around me? What am I reacting to? What's happening with my thoughts here? And try and sort of observe and see things from a different perspective. Is this because I'm upset and that person always upsets me, or is it, what's their intention behind asking me that, for example? So put some perspective, try and see the bigger picture. And are you reacting to something that's fact or fiction, or is it based on, and how would somebody else see that situation? And do what works. If you know that walking away works, walk away. If it means taking a deep breath and rewording something, do that. It's doing what. So this is really good to just, when you're in heightened states, just literally take stock of yourself. I'd like you to think about now, how much do you know about mental health now? Have your understanding, your knowledge, is it any different? Is it the same? Is it worse? Let's look at where you're at. That's brilliant. So you've all gained something from today. That's fantastic. So where you can get help. So you can contact me. I offer one-to-one coaching support along with group sessions, online sessions, and I tailor it to what the group's needs are or what the needs of the individual are. So yeah, and educational sessions like today to spread the word, help stigma, and get people to start thinking about themselves and becoming self-aware. You can get help from family and friends. There's Samaritans, NHS website as well, Mind website. They have lots of resources on there as well on Mind. So does the NHS, your GP, and if things are getting quite serious, GP 111, and A&E if you really feel you're not safe, you're going to put yourself or someone else in danger. So what I'd like you to think about is, to take away towards the end of the session, think about 3 things you can take away from today's session that is going to help you to manage your mental health. I want you to reflect on what's going well for you, what you're doing well to look after yourself, and what changes can you make to make things slightly, better for you. Because I think everyone, there's always room for improvement. It doesn't matter how old, how experienced you are, there's always room for development. Identify who you can reach out to for help. So have a list of, coming my mum, I know my mum will always be there, or I know my auntie will be there, or my dad, or my uncle, my brother, whoever that person is, or a friend, whoever, just if you've got a list. So it's nice to have what I call a bit of a toolkit. So create a stress management plan to refer to when you're stressed. So this can be a toolkit of when things get overwhelmed, we forget some of the basic things, and I do it. So it's always good to have something either on your phone or on a piece of paper that you can refer to when things are difficult. So any questions? That's the end of my presentation for today, and thank you so much for listening to me. Great to get some feedback and answer any questions.
So I think you can unmute yourself. Sorry, Krishna, carry on.
If there's any questions, if you don't want to unmute yourself, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat. But a question from myself, I'll kick things off. I'm looking at the demographic of who's on the call, and I can see that there are some youth and there could be some parents as well. One question from me would be, let's say if someone from the youth is going through a mental health issue and they want to reach out to someone from a different generation, like their parent or a grandparent as well, but they might not know how to approach them because of the generation barrier. What would you sort of suggest for that person to do, or how could they approach that person?
It might be worth talking to them about maybe exploring, you know, the stuff that we did about stigma, what mental health is, and having open discussions and maybe talking about celebrities. So it's about breaking down that stigma in the first place. And if they, you know, they might want to talk to their mom or parent, but do they feel comfortable doing that? And if not, find somebody to do. And it might be that in order to build that relationship, alongside that, the individual has a conversation or has discussions with the parents around mental health or around whatever difficulty. It might be anxiety, or I might be asking them about, oh, who's you know, how when you get worried, you know, so maybe using language, you know, finding out from our parents, what do you do when you're worried? How do you manage that?
And what if it was the other way around? What if a parent wanted to approach their son or daughter about if they're feeling all right, but they're not sure how to approach them?
I think it's normalizing emotions, isn't it? And just going, well, you know, you might have a child that's doing exams and it will be like, oh, how are you feeling about your exams? Is there anything I can do to help? And I think it's really important as a parent to be aware of how our own emotions and anxieties around wanting your children to do well can get in the way of that communication. So, you know, you say, oh, you really have to revise, you know, but oh, you're stressed. What can you do about that stress? But, you know, it's about keeping that check in balance and saying, okay, yes, it's normal to feel stressed about exams, but we need to manage that. You need to maybe have a bit of worry time or something once a day or once every 2 days, whatever's going to work, but put it to the side and know that at the moment we have to stay in the present. And what we said about mindfulness, everything else is still going to be there. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know what your exam results are going to be, but what you do know is actually I can revise while I'm here. You know, I'm sat here at this desk. One thing I can do is make sure that I learn as much as I can on this subject. So for parents, it's about helping them to feel grounded, to sort of explain that actually having changes in emotions is as normal as having a cough and a cold or getting COVID or feeling bad about somebody saying, you know, bullying them or saying something derogatory. So it's about having those conversations and breaking that stigma, because I know there's a lot of youth these days, you know, children, you know, we're talking 18 and under, that still struggle to talk about how they're feeling. And it's just being open and having those conversations, keeping those conversations going.
Thank you. Have we got any other questions from anyone? Again, the chat is also available.
Did any of what we spoke about today resonate with anybody, or did it make sense?
Definitely it resonates with me. I'll give a bit of an overview of just how the end of last year kind of panned out for me, and also the start of this year. So just to bring context, I live and work alone, and it's been very testing during the pandemic, but it's actually taught me a lot about myself. So already jumping into living by myself was quite a task, but obviously I was wanting that task. But yeah, I think it's helped me to slow down, I think, as well. I'm very reflective as a person. So obviously in the pandemic, we had a load of time to do thinking, but it's helped me to prioritize who my friends actually are. Because I think in the past, I probably was obviously, especially living in London, so very used to the go-go nature of just like having plans, meeting as many people as possible. But yeah, it's actually taught me to just really focus on the people that matter. I know it sounds so simple, but at the end of the day, it is really simple. And just the people that are there for you, like in the thick and thin of times. But yeah, I mean, so that gives you a bit of an overview, but it was quite challenging towards the summer of last year. I was in a really unhealthy job. But obviously in the pandemic, security-wise, I wasn't in any position to move. I was working from home for like 2.5 years, solidly on my own. But again, I think that comes with a lot of back and forth of just being able to just confidently kind of work on things, because I don't have an issue with being on my own. But it also comes with a lot of negative kind of consequences of overthinking and constantly having boardroom conversations in my head. In the heat of the pandemic, I used to go to Sainsbury's just to talk to somebody. That's how bad it got. But just a general kind of conversation. It was just nice to be able to just talk about anything and everything because we're all in that same boat together. But yeah, so it was in the midst of looking for another job, and the hurdles of interviewing, virtual interviews, working at the same time. I did actually go a bit stir crazy, if I'm honest, but I'm quite an extreme person, I think I've realized, but I'm trying to work on that, because I was so looking forward for the next jump. I was just constantly at it, just, you know, went for all the interviews, did all the interviews, but obviously still being very mindful of the fact that I need to spend time doing the things that I enjoy. So I acquired a Fitbit during the pandemic, and just started walking a lot more, listen to podcasts, listen to music, and use that as a way of just having that time by myself, and clocking up to about like 45,000 steps in a day was like a really good personal best. And I think even though those kind of milestones just help you to reinforce the simple things of just walking around or taking on a new pathway or something. So I used all that to help focus myself, really. And unfortunately, it got to a point with the job where I just couldn't take it anymore. My mental health was actually spiraling out of control because I was so focused on getting another job. I used Christmas as my deadline. I managed to bag myself a new job before Christmas. So obviously you can imagine when finishing your job and looking forward to going home for Christmas, unfortunately got COVID, got it really badly. And yeah, I suffered for quite some time. But again, it helped me to stop because I was in that process where you just have to stop. Started a new job in January, still recovering from the pandemic, but obviously when you start a new job virtually, you have to prep yourself up. I think I probably used a lot more energy than I thought because I overworked myself, and wanting to kind of prove to my new employers that I could do the job. I mean, it was quite satisfying to get Employee of the Month, so it was unexpected, but it was nice at the time. And it also helped reinforce that I can do this job. So I leveled up in the job. I went for something that was completely different, but obviously it came at a cost where I had to prove myself, and that's just kind of who I am. I'm quite conscientious that way. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that job didn't work out for me. I took a direction, and the direction just wasn't a right fit for me. But I don't mind kind of saying that, really, because I would rather be transparent and just say it didn't work out, and found something that's worked for me now. So I've been in the new job for about 6 weeks now, and I don't have those kind of
congratulations, well done.
Thank you. I still have anxieties and feelings because I'm an anxious person. Obviously, it comes a lot with like living alone. I don't have a soundboard, but obviously when you're joining like virtual calls and things, that was great, but I don't have a personal sounding board. So I think I retain a lot of that to myself, and I don't want to bombard onto other people. But I am looking into therapy, and just finding that impartial person to talk to. because I think friends and family are great, don't get me wrong, but we all carry stuff. We all carry a lot of problems that we don't want to talk about. I know for a fact that I've had a happy childhood, but I do, looking back now, I do think I've become a certain person the way that I have done is because of a lot of that, is that I've had to just keep myself going, and that's all I know.
We know that our experiences shape us into who we are today.
Yeah,
you know, and you can have a happy childhood, but what sort of external experiences are influencing you, or what personality types, or so. But yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. Sorry, I've cut you. You carry on if you need to. But you know, I just seem to have hit everything that I was talking about today, and I feel like you summarised it. You know, but even it's easy to, you know, you spoke about your experience of being in a difficult job and moving on. You could quite easily stay where you are because you know that.
I've done that, and it's not boded me well.
No, so. But it takes a lot to change jobs.
Yeah,
and to say, actually, this isn't working for me, and even to identify that, to recognise that within yourself, like, this isn't working for me. I'm going to try something else, and then going for something that you think might fit for you but doesn't. Again, you know, it can probably trigger some of the negative things, but at the same time it's really difficult. And I often feel that when you challenge yourself, you do feel anxious because you spend a lot of time between that threat and drive system. Because when you were talking about your experiences earlier, all I could think in your head, you were going from the threat to the drive, a little bit on the soothing, but then you quickly went back to the threat and drive system to try and impress people and doing well at work.
Yeah.
So we need to try and help, you know, get that balance. And like I said, I'm sure there's loads of people here working from home. I know when I work from home, it is that sounding board that you miss, because you're having dialogues that you think other people are having about your work or what you might be doing, but that is then influenced by your own emotions and how your day's going that day.
Yeah, definitely. But
and it's that office banter and office conversation, isn't it? And just, can I just run that by you? Sorry, Mira.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with everything that you're saying, but I think the most that I feel confident about now, which is something that I would never thought I would do, but during the pandemic, I went to my own social network and channels and talked about the issues. So I was transparent. I was very nervous to even hit that, you know, publish button, because I didn't know which way it was going to go. But in all honesty, it was a case of me reaching out and helping others that were in the situation. And since doing that, just recently around Mental Health Awareness Week, I took part in a podcast. And again, being able to talk about this issue, I'm coming at it from kind of a single point of view, and also the whole living alone, but also just it's all interconnecting, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, it's benefited me to talk about things and things that I would never have considered, because I used to think that vulnerability is such a weakness, but I actually use it to my strength now. And being able to talk about stuff. But yeah, my aim really is just to help as many people as I can, because I think, you know, if you open up to people, they will definitely open up to you in the rightful way. But yeah, so I can totally appreciate everything that you said today, and I can relate to it big time.
Yeah, well, I think you've just helped me out, because you've just, what you said about the social media platform and putting things out there, that's something I've been thinking about for a while, but don't have the guts. Even I get anxious, even I get, you know, and you're just thinking, do you know something? Maybe you've just given me the push to be able to do something like that.
I take it from...
You know, I just want to highlight, we're all human. We all have anxieties, me included. You know, I'm not immune. But I also feel that is what drives you to develop and helps you grow. But we want to get that in the right balance. Sorry, Mira, again.
No, it's fine. I'm just a last point really is that when you feel the most uncomfortable about yourself is actually when you're learning the most, because not that I've intended to, but I started a job twice over this year. I've moved homes, and you just manage to adapt. No matter how much you do, you just do. I mean, obviously there's a lot of anxiety and push and stress comes with that, especially financially, because I pulled out of my job and I knew that there was going to be consequences, and I had to live in my savings for a bit. But then that's kind of the rainy day money I put aside for myself. It wasn't an easy thing, but yeah, it's definitely helped me to push on, like focus on me a bit more and like what I want, and given me massive learning curves. So I will treat things very differently now, just as much as any other experience. So yeah, that's.
Well done.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I definitely resonated with a lot of those points as well. So really thank you for that. Has anyone got anything else to share? I know that we've gone over the time, but this is a safe platform as well, or even in the chat. No?
Thanks for sharing experience, Mira. Can't remember what I said that, but it's very inspiring.
Okay. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining this first mental health event held by SPA UK. I'd like to reiterate that this session has been recorded and it will go on the SPA website. So if you'd like to go back to anything that our speaker mentioned, it's all there. Our speaker, Chetna, has also noted her contact details if you'd like to get in touch. But again, thank you to Chetna for coming on. I found that really, really interesting. Just before you all go and before I hand it over to Kamlesh Bhai, I'm just going to put a link in the chat. It's just a quick 8-question survey about the event. If you could use it and just give some feedback, it would be really appreciated. But again, thank you for joining us. Over to you, Kamlesh Bhai.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation and talking about this important topic as well. We've had a couple of sessions, haven't we, now on mental health and stuff. So again, it's we just need to keep on bringing it to the forefront and make sure people are aware of it, and we can help as we go along and stuff. So thank you for Mira and the others for sharing your experience as well. It's great to see new faces. I can't see everybody because everybody's cameras aren't on, so I appreciate that. But Mira, I've not seen you before, so it's great you joined. Manoj, I can't recall seeing you. So it's nice to see you, and Taco's iPhone as well. So if you do want to step, firstly, could I just ask to take a bit of time how you got to know about the session, because it's interesting to understand how people have got to know about the session. I know we've sent out our flyer, and Krishna kindly put that together, but it just bugs me sometimes as to how you got to know about it. Mira, I don't know whether you can...
I was just putting in the chat. But my dad, actually, he saw it on Facebook. And obviously recently I came out about the whole mental health in a podcast. And yeah, so it was just through Facebook. Yeah,
that's great. That just shows that hopefully we can use those mediums to get out to people as well. Manoj, do you know how did anybody else want to just briefly say how they...
I know Chetna's husband Shashi for the last 50 million years, so we grew up as kids. And of course I know Chetna since then.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think if you folks would like to keep in touch, by all means, I can put my number on the chat. We have got a youth group going as well, so we're looking to get more people on there and get more views and do more events such as this. And I think your experiences and your thoughts and processes and stuff would be invaluable, actually. So I think with that, thank you all for joining. It's I know it's a sunny afternoon and stuff, so now somebody enjoying it. I think you get more people in the winter, so we will continue to do these sessions as well, and this is a kickstart. And then we have also got other sessions in terms of careers as well, going forward as well. So please do join that if you get to hear about it. Thank you.